Louie, did you drink from that bubbling green glass I told you not to drink from that said zombie juice? Congos for a boat ride. All right, let's see. Well, hello Glue Troopers, and welcome back to another episode of Max's Models After Hours. So I got a lot of work done on the Douglas World Cruisers. I got all of the fuselages built, just put together, got them painted. Well, what I did was I did like an in-color brush primer coat, and same for the wings and the horizontal stabilizers. So that way I could, I did an in-color primer coat and with a thinned out acrylic. That let me sand it down a little more and get everything tidied up. So now they're starting to look pretty good. They'll probably go out tomorrow for an airbrush overcoat. And then there's still some stuff to do before I get around to putting them together. But one other thing is I put on the morning video, I'm not sure where that email got off to, where the Glue Trooper sent me a location where I could find new decals for them, reproductions. So I might look into that. So if you send me that email, I'll keep digging. Maybe I can just find it. But if you happen to see this episode and still have that link, if you pop it off to me again, sorry, too many irons in the fire. But these things have a lot of flash on them. I'm spending a lot of time scraping flash down, and even though I've got the primer coat, I've found spots where I'm going to have to keep sanding. But you know, that's kind of, I guess, par for the course. You know, older kits, older molds. So I went to Hurricane Hobbies today, and Ian had just gotten a delivery. So instead of going through all the boxes, I'll just show you what he got. He's got another distributor, so he's getting some new stuff. Models were, you know, mostly Tamiya kits. He also has a vintage Aurora Cutty Sark under glass, if anybody happens to be in Jackson wants to pick that up. But two of the models he had were the Tamiya P38 that I just built, and the Tamiya Betty Bomber that I'm about to get on building on, and it's also, of course, 148, and that's Yamamoto's plane and Rex Barber's plane. And after boring them all for 15 minutes with the history of the raid, I suggested, he's considering it, that he let me put them both on the end cap with the P38 above the Betty, and that way I said, you know, look, it's a history cell. Somebody comes and sees that, they may, you know, oh, I want to get that. And I said, you need to put a sign up with this, as, you know, get Yamamoto, with a little history of the reference to the two, and give someone a discount if they buy both models at the same time and pay cash. So he might do that. But anywho, if you're in Jacksonville though, and you want to pick up that Betty or that P38, and he's also got Dick Bong's P38 for sale also. New models coming. He had a whole bunch of other stuff. While I was there, Brett came in, who made all those wonderful kits he has under glass, including that Raptor with the Raptors around it. And he brought, Ian has a Swift boat RC that he acquired, but it kind of like brand new out of the box, obviously. So he's having Brett sort of redo it and you know, trick it out. And he brought in to show some of the work he's got going so far on it. Always fun to talk to them. That was really the bulk of the day. These Douglas World Cruisers, I really want to make them look good, so I'm trying to slow down and take my time. And I had to repaint a couple of areas. I had used the replica, the flying replica, for some of the paint guide. Turns out that plane's got a few little differences on it. So I went back to using pictures of the one of the Chicago that's hanging in the National Air and Space Museum. Minor corrections, no big deal. And Modeling Madness and a few others have some builds on that show you how nice they can look when you're done. So still long way to go on that, but you know, no rush. More pictures are rolling in for the Corsair P38 build, which will be up in about a week, and of course the viewers builds. I'll just put viewers build 43 up whenever I get enough stuff. Also, I got some boxes today. Now we got a notice from UPS that they tried to make a delivery and couldn't make it, and I think it was one of the things that was sent to me. Unfortunately, for some reason, Google has my house listed as a business, which it is not, but that's what UPS goes by, so they won't just leave it there. Someone has to be there to sign for it. But we also got some packages in the mail. And you know what? I took some pictures and recorded it earlier. So let's go back to 6 Hour Younger Max and we'll do an unboxing. Now I'll be right back. Well, hello, Older Max. Yeah, I got some stuff. So let's take a look at what we have. Let's see. This came from Leading Edge up in Calgary, Alberta. They make those nice decals. They sent me some before. And here's a letter, and here's the decal sheets. In fact, let me show you a picture of them. And it says, a few samples of my Canadian Air Force SE-5A decal sets. Note the Canadian Air Force predates the RCAF, Royal Canadian Air Force, which was not formed until 1926. Dave. Well, Dave, I appreciate that. Those are some beautiful looking decals. I think I have an SE-5 that they'll fit on the shelf too, so I'll have to put all that together. And we have another one here. Sorry about the chair squeaking and the remote sound. This is from Mr. Savo in Ohio. And it's an unboxing. I already slit the box open. I have not been in it yet. Island Airlines, it's a decal sheet for a tri-motor. Let's see. Hi Max, thought your stash might be getting a little low, so here's something to help replenish it. I apologize, the glider is missing windshield. No worries. Also, the same kit I did. You had to paint on invasion stripes. The Ford is something I thought you would like, as it's from a small airport 15 minutes from me. Keller Field in Port Clinton, Ohio. Island Airlines operates up to 7 Fords from the 30s till the 80s. Interesting. And the last 10 or so years, maybe the FAA stopped them from flying passengers to islands put in bay. Kelly's middle bass said you needed a crew of 3, a flight engineer. So they were still allowed to do sightseeing tours. Also included is some decal papers, and hoping you could make 2 copies of 4 decals for my kits I have. Find enclosed copy of Island Airline sheet. Thanks, Frank, model on, and here's the address. I'll see what I can do. I don't have a proper scanner, but I'll see if I can get them scanned in and make some, because the laser printer should do a good job. And here they are, and I guess they're supposed to be this size. If nothing else, I can probably scan on my phone and size it, and we'll see. All right, and here's the decal paper, so we keep that together. All decals right there. Okay, this is padding. Okay, something thick. Make sure there's not something in there. Here we have the Lindbergh Classic Replica Series PT-17. I have built this kit a couple of times, and believe it or not, this is actually one of Lindbergh's better kits. 1/48 scale. My brother and I were always a little disappointed it came in such a big box, as Lindbergh was prone to do, and it's not a terribly large model, but this one actually is more appropriate. But this is, and it was in yellow too. And I remember building this a couple of times as a kid. I think that and their SE-5 were a couple of the better ones. Okay, and here's the tri-motor. I built one of these recently. Gosh, I don't remember if it was a monogram kit. It might have been. A pretty good little kit. And let's see here. Oh! From a Czech Republic by Pavla or Paula? Republic P-43A Lancer. I think that's Pavla. And I am not familiar with their kits. Let's take a quick look at this. Let's look at my knife, and there it is. You know, right in front of me. And I'll probably take a picture of this and show you guys. Okay. Yeah, some resin parts in there. Looks pretty good. All right. 1/72 scale. Any decals on there? Instruction sheet. Yes, there are decals for, looks like Swiss, Chinese, or Army Air Force, or I believe that is British. Royal Australian Air Force. There we go. Here we have a hobby craft. It's funny, we were just talking about the Blue Angels recently, the Bearcat. And I was just in a lengthy discussion about the Bearcat and the Corsair. This is the Hobbycraft. And let's see if, okay, there's the decals. Looks pretty good. The Bearcat, as many of you probably know, was the second aircraft, if I'm not mistaken, used by the Blue Angels following the Hellcats. The Bearcat's an interesting machine. It and the Corsair, except for the engine they used, in many ways they couldn't have been more different. Anyway, so, right. Here we go. The Waco glider, CG4A, Adrian. And this is by Italeri. And the Waco is what my unit used. I was in a 2nd and 327th Infantry, 101st Airborne Division. People tend to forget that airborne just means borne by air. Paratroopers are in parachutes. Airborne can be gliders. And our unit patch was a glider on a parachute. And my particular unit was a glider unit, the glider riders. And he said that the windshield is missing. If there's one airplane it's probably not hard to fabricate a windshield for, it'd be something like this, because they were made to be cheap. So everything was flat surfaced. Here's some decals. Some have been used. I could probably, it's funny. I was just thinking about painting invasion stripes yesterday. I was thinking of the DC-3s and how the most of the kits you got that had invasion stripes, the decals rarely fit very well, and they also were too clean. If you look, a lot of the airplanes were painted by their crew chiefs a couple of days ahead of time. They got orders, so they're dropping plumb lines and using house paint and rollers. A lot of times the stripes weren't so perfect as we see, so I was thinking, well, if I was going to paint them, how would I do it? And that's interesting. That should come along at just this time. This is a great styrene river. Well, thank you, Frank. I appreciate that. And everything. Make sure I'm not leaving anything in the box. All right, I think we're good. I'll have to look at some pictures of my unit's gliders and see if I can paint them up that way. Unfortunately, my unit was, there was a shortage of gliders on the Normandy invasion. And my unit actually hit the beaches of Normandy out of landing craft, even though they were airborne units. A lot of people don't know that happened to a lot of airborne guys. Well, all right, guys, I'll turn it back over to the older version of me, who no matter what he does, will never be younger than I am right now. Back to you, geezer. Yeah, very funny. You're a whopping 6 hours younger than I am. Geezer. So that's what went on here today, and I'll be getting ready for the live stream tomorrow, 7 p.m. East Coast time. And I did discover one other little thing. I'm trying to cut back on the caffeine, so the best decaf I've had is at Tim Hortons decaf, and some was sent to me by Garfield, and I found a couple of places locally that carried it in the Keurigs. But when I was done, I found this little dry deposit in the cup. And I realized what that was after drinking decaf. It was the dried out part of my soul that was left behind after I drank the decaf. By the way, a glue trooper made a comment in an email to me today that was bloody hilarious. He was talking about photo etch, and he says, this is from Panzerman's Bunker. I love this. If PE existed during Dante's time, he would have made a 10th circle of hell for it. I love that. Guys, that's what I've got for tonight. Looking forward to seeing everybody tomorrow, 7 p.m. East Coast, 2300 Zulu, for the live stream. Take care of yourselves, guys, and as always, model on.